Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. This is pre-release 1 for Minecraft 1.21.5. The next Minecraft drop is right around the corner. At this point in time there is no release date. We're just getting the usual explanation of expecting to see bug fixes instead of features, and that the regular cadence of snapshots on Wednesdays will be broken. And although this pre-release doesn't have any big features in it, we certainly have a lot to talk about. As today, the player location bar was announced. This will be in the next drop of Minecraft, not the one we're currently covering. But over on Bedrock Edition of the game, we got to preview this new multiplayer feature, and we're going to check it out in this video, but I've got some other things to talk about first. In last week's Snapshot video, I made the joke that Snapshot W09B stands for bugs. I want to make it super clear, I understand how they name these snapshots. That was just a joke, you know. B is the second snapshot of the week, C would be the third, D the fourth. And I had to go a long way back to find it. I once covered a D snapshot, which was 7 years ago. And the record is E. There's 3 times in which there's been an E snapshot. Anyways, let's get into the game and cover a few things from last week's snapshot. This change somehow got removed from my list of things to cover, so we're covering it here this week instead. It relates to the sound that a piston makes. Let's go ahead and activate it. Did you notice what's different? It now makes the sound of the block that it breaks at the same time. This is just a little detail I think someone noticed wasn't in the game. And so now this detail has been added. If a block is broken by the piston, it plays the sound of that block as well as the sound of the piston. Another mistake I made in last week's snapshot related to the change of the baby cow model. I got confused by one of the bug reports related to the cows and totally somehow didn't notice that we were looking at the wrong cow model. So there's actually been not only a change to the baby cow, which now has its head in this upright position, like it does on Bedrock, but all of the horns have been slightly adjusted. They've essentially been moved back a couple of blocks from where they previously were. When I say 1 block, I mean 1 pixel. They've been moved forward 1 pixel away from the ear. And when a cow walks like this one is currently doing, you can see the tops of their legs, which used to be the grey colour. That's been changed, so it's the brown colour, which looks much better. You can see an example of what I'm talking about in this image here. And of course, that colour changes depending on which cow it is. We also got a new game rule last snapshot, which is TNT Explode. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to false. I learned from my comments that the TNT disappearing upon being powered by redstone was a normal behavior on Bedrock. In this pre-release though, you'll see that that's been changed so that they don't disappear. Apparently the logic behind it disappearing was in case the game rule changed after someone had put down a lot of TNT next to some redstone that could be activated. This naturally got me wondering what would happen if an explosion took place next to your TNT. Let's find out. I think the TNT basically just disappeared. Here's what that experiment looks like if the game rule is set to true. Yeah, that's what I expected. So with that game rule, TNT that gets set off by some other explosion doesn't then explode itself. The next thing to talk about is Minecraft Live, which was announced last week when the snapshot released on Wednesday. And at the end of the trailer, they only announced the time in one time zone. I've always found that to be a little bit annoying because then if you're in a different time zone, you have to go and look it up and convert it and hope that you get it correct. And so I hope Mojang have got these time zones correct, but with this tweet, they've announced when the event is going to be in 8 different time zones. So mark it in your calendar. I will of course be covering it here on this channel. A great reason to make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. Next, we're going to cover that player location bar feature that was announced today. We're going to run through the basics from the article that was posted earlier today. The important thing to note from this blog post, though, is that all the features from the current game drop are done, and that this is something they're going to put into the next game drop. So let's find out, how does the player locator bar actually work? Well, this location bar appears where the XP bar is, so if you're not actively earning XP and other players are in the world, it's going to appear here. And players will appear on it in the form of colourful icons, whether they're out of sight or behind blocks. So each player gets assigned an icon color that goes on the player location bar when they join a multiplayer game. This seems like a missed opportunity to put their skin face onto the bar, but there you go. And if they are positioned significantly higher or lower than you, then there's going to be an arrow above or below the icon on the bar. Now, what about players that don't want to be found through this new system? Well, there are 3 different ways. You can just hold down shift and sneak. You can also wear a mask like a pumpkin or a mob head, and you can be invisible by drinking a potion of invisibility. It feels like they've tried to dress up some of the shortcomings by addressing advanced operatives that want other ways of sneakily approaching, but they said it here, taking advantage of its display limitations. So your icon doesn't appear on another player's bar if you approach them from behind, but they will know that someone is there because the bar will become visible. And then if a player is currently earning XP, the bar won't be displayed, so that's another way that you could sneak up on them. Then we asked the question if we can disable the player location bar. Well, in both Java and Bedrock, this is going to be on by default. But if you're the creator of a world or a server admin or you have OP, then you can disable the player location bar. And I'm going to guess this will be done through a game rule. And before we discuss this further, we actually got the preview edition of the game today as well, and I recorded some footage of it in action. If you want to see this for yourself, when you create a new world, you go down to experiments, and you need to make sure that the location bar is turned on. So with a friend logging onto the server is able to conduct some ruditory experiments. It turns out that just looking up and looking down can activate the arrow. And then when you get some experience points, it takes about 5 seconds or more for the bar to disappear, and then it comes back with a player on it. The up and down arrows are kind of disappointing. They're actually just related to the way the player is looking. So when I go up a dirt pillar and look down at the player, then the arrow disappears. This seems to me like a big miscalculation. We experimented with some of the items mentioned, so putting on a carved pumpkin, you can see they just simply vanish from the bar. And unsurprisingly, with the potion of the invisibility, it is the same dealio. Notice here that I'm in creative mode, and now in creative mode, that bar is going to sit there if other players are in your world. And here we are testing distance. As Chimera runs off into the distance, you can see that they are still on the bar down below. And I'm going to run away further in the opposite direction and spin around again. It feels like there could be an opportunity here for those icons to be sized based on distance. So the further away you are from them, the smaller they get. I might have spoken too soon. The icon has started to fade now that we're even further away from each other. Look, it's getting dimmer still. Okay, so there is a mechanic for that. I reckon a bunch of tweaks and changes are going to come its way. I also really like this suggestion by Sea of Pixels, just to turn this into 2 separate bars, which to me doesn't add a crazy amount of clutter and makes much more sense than one feature overlapping the other. But I will say that this is a fundamental change to how multiplayer works, especially in competitive environments. And also it feels like taking away a potential game mechanic that you experience in-game and putting it into the GUI. I'm not saying it's good or it's bad, but I think these things should be well thought out before implemented, and I'm kind of surprised that they just sprung this one on us. Then again, what other way have they got of showing us their new ideas? Alright, let's now get to the changes in this week's pre-release. One of them is spawn egg textures. The original ones have been added to the Programmer Art texture pack. This was something that we talked about in last week's snapshot, I think. You can get the old textures of the game back in through here. And so this is what ice used to look like. And if we go into the menu, you got your own spawn eggs. This pre-release also came with some technical changes, but these ones were above my level of comprehension. There is some network protocol stuff, and the resource pack version was updated as well because little leaf block models have been tweaked. That might be related to this bug fix right here, which causes render lag. And now that we're on the bug fixes, we got an oldie here. Minecraft uses several times more VRAM than needed after exploring terrain for a while. I'm pretty sure this is something I've experienced on multiple occasions. You go exploring a world, and after a while the game starts stuttering, you give it a restart and the memory isn't all filled up. The cold cow that we came out to see earlier in this video actually had some texture alignment issues which have been patched. You can see them here, they're mostly around the snout and the ears of the cow. The new fallen logs feature had some vegetation issues that have been patched out. That is indeed the top half of a fern with a log below it. And the last of these seem to be related to TNT, including the discovery that we made that the TNT disappearing upon being powered is in fact an error. Okay, I need to go ahead and set that game rule back to false. That is because TNT minecarts could still be activated, as you can see here now. They won't be when the game rule is set to false. And it's a similar story with TNT from a dispenser or that has been summoned by a command. Now, it doesn't do anything. And that's everything I have for you for now. Be on the lookout on my channel for more videos this week, as we're now in the pre-release phase. However, if I'm not covering them, it's probably because there's very little to talk about. I will try and get the release date out to you though, so you know when the next drop is coming. Anyway, that's it from me this video. Oh wow, that is a rarity. That is 4 sugarcane with no water. This is a special moment. Yeah, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.